another question from Tiffany here. And she said she recently made a career change a few years ago and felt super confident that she already had the skill set to do the job. So she was applying with no fear. And then I got the job and was somewhat surprised by how much I didn't know. Was there any element of that played into your lack of fear?
Oh, wow. Yeah. I think there wasn't ever fear for me. It was some uncertainty sometimes, but I knew I had a good support system around me, which I was fortunate to have looking back on it. I think my experience would have been different if I had a demanding manager or someone who was like, you must learn this quickly. I had some people who around me who were very understanding of my background, my situation, and helped me along in those early days of my journey. So I was fortunate. I was never really scared. I guess I was driven too because of my second layoff, and it was just our whole division of our company got wiped out. We were doing well at the time, and I was just kind of mad. I think at the time I was like, I'm going to change careers. I'm going to do well in whatever I do next. And so I was just driven to really succeed in whatever I got. I was just kind of upset about having jobs disappear without any fault of my own. So anyway, like I think I was just a little too ambitious at the time to be scared, but there was some uncertainty for sure where, I wanted to validate the hiring decision. Like I wanted to make them feel good about hiring me and taking a chance on me. So that feeling was real for sure for me, where I wanted them to feel good about having them bring me into the company.
Yeah, I think another question that I have, so a lot of like UX and UI is conducting that research and like knowing the person. Can you tell us a little bit more? I mean, and it also ties into like being naturally curious or having that curiosity because otherwise you're not going to be compelled to dig deeper. So can you dig a little bit deeper into, what is involved in that UX research or UX UI research and like how does that inform your content strategy and like the content that you write?
Definitely. So we're really fortunate at Colrail. We have a UX researcher whose background is actually in UX writing. She was a UX content strategist before she became a researcher. So she's still closely aligned with our team. And it's great. Sometimes I pair with her on projects and she'll either start new user interviews and I'll sometimes sit in on those or listen to what she says with customers. And you can hear certain narrative threads develop over time. So that's really interesting. Other times she'll have this backlog of research insights she's gained for other situations that happened before that we can apply to our current work. So it's really interesting to use her as a resource, which is great. In my own work, though, sometimes outside of that, we'll do some A/B testing with the team I'm on right now. It's called the growth team, but we do a lot of A/B testing where we can have 50% of our users see one version of an experience and 50% see like the control, like the current experience. So we're trying to see if this new experience that we designed performs better. So sometimes that's kind of a research tool that we use as well. And then other things are just like studying user behavior, see how they use our product through recordings, things like that. That's interesting. And I also dive into Google Analytics quite a bit for my video work that I do and trying to find spots for creating video content on our support site. So I'll try to see which articles are being read the most and if we have a video presence on those, and if we don't, I'll add that to our list of like we need to make a tutorial video based on that topic. So yeah, there are a lot of different tools and processes we use for research, and I think it's definitely an important part of the job, and it'll only become more intertwined with UX writing as UX writing matures and UX research does as well. And you can definitely do some great UX writing based on learning what user behavior is before you even start writing one word. So I think that's very important to include that in the process.
Hold on.
Hey, um, Andrew, I had a question actually. You mentioned, well, in our last meetup, we talked about a lot of different roles that are under the whole umbrella
Yeah.
of like this content and well, not content, but UX. And so I just wanted to get your thoughts on what the different titles, I guess their meanings and should people be like deterred or should they be, just it's a lot of it. Some of them sound very, they sound like $100 names. So
Yeah. No, that's a great way to put it. Yeah, no, people shouldn't be deterred. I'm here to come in peace and say, don't be scared by these various names. Read the job description. I think that's important. But as you read job descriptions, you'll start to see similarities between a UX content strategist or a UX writer, or the new thing now is content designer at
Mm,
quite a few companies, or product content writer. That's another one I've seen out there. So it's really interesting. All these roles, though, if you read the job description, they fit this description, live within product development. And so we're a part of the product team within companies where we work with UX designers, product managers, and engineers to design and build experiences that shape our products. So that's what all these titles really mean in the end, is that you're working within a product team to shape these experiences through words. And I view myself as a designer with words. That's why I understand like content designer, that makes sense to me. And UX writer, it makes sense, of course, things like that. So I guess I don't really get caught up in titles as much. As a content person, sometimes I'm like, yeah, we stress consistency so much and we're so inconsistent with our titles in this industry. It's really weird. But, I think like overall, if you just look past the job description or look past the title and concentrate on the job description, you'll see a lot of similarities by where these roles live and the goals that these roles help shape over time.
fantastic. And to that point, what role does UX writing play in a content strategy? Whether that's internal or customer facing, just how does it play into it? You mentioned product, and so if there, I just wonder if there's a larger play for UX writing in the role of content.
Yeah, that's an interesting question. And let me know if I don't answer it in the right way.
Yeah,
But I
sure.
think like, UX writing in some ways, when I really boil it down, is like when I write words within Figma files, which are the files we use to design experiences. So it's the actual like writing the words that will appear on screens. So to me, that's like UX writing, like writing
Hmm.
microcopy. Content strategy to me is like the overall arching thinking behind what went into those words and the thought processes and actions and research that took place before you started putting words
Mm,
on the screen. So to me, like strategy means a little bit more as far as just the work involved, maybe, or just the thinking and the different tools you use to decide what words you write while you're writing microcopy. So I guess I make that distinction in some
mhm,
ways. Content strategy too within the UX world can mean like doing competitor analysis documents and trying to find inconsistencies within your app, or ask questions like, is this word serving its purpose? And could we find a more successful word to describe this or something, within our content ecosystem? So I think for me, that's what content strategy means more than just like, writing microcopy. There's a little bit more of a distinction there, but it's confusing. It's like almost splitting hairs, and you have to live within this world, I think, to even think about it. But that's how I consider those two things.
no, that's pretty spot on. It seems more fine tuned, the way it's used, and it's not just for one thing. It can be applied in different areas on the content strategy. Is there anything that you wish someone would have told you before you got into UX?
Oh,
Just
wow. Yeah, no, that's great. I actually like do this on LinkedIn every Wednesday. Today's Wednesday, so perfect timing. But it's like I do posts. I wish I knew it, so it's like a quick little thing. I try to write like 30 minutes for work every morning. It's a nice little mental exercise for me. So I do this every Wednesday with this particular series. I guess I don't know, but so I have like a running list now. I've done this since January. Each week of I don't know what it is, like 15 things or something. So there are a lot of
nice.
certain things I wish I knew. I think I wrote today about what did I, oh, about testing copy and how fun it is. So this is just one example of me being a nerd, but I think it's just really fun to do A/B testing on copy and see real-time results. And an example at my job at CallRail early on in the growth team's formation, I was pitching these content related test ideas to just ramp up the team because they're light developer lifts, so it's easy for developers to set up these content tests compared to some other things. But one of the things we did was like testing the CTA copy on our marketing website, our .com. And so I did like start my free trial versus start free trial. I just read
Hmm.
somewhere that possessive my was good or whatever. So anyway, like I would, after each conversion, I'd be like, which button did they do to sign up through this sign up form or something, So I was like looking at that in real time. It was really fun for me. So things like that. I didn't know when I joined the field, and you just kind of learn as you go. Another thing is just like trying to capture the value of your work too. I wish I would have known that more early on. Just this is a discussion that happens a lot in UX writing and just UX space in general. But we always want to try to find ways to show value with our work and measure our impact and things like that. So I think those opportunities, especially with A/B testing or other areas where you have that actual numbers to show, I think that's so important as a UX person to capture those moments and then showcase that. Just it's so important to talk about UX's value within a business. So those are the kind of things that I enjoy writing about each week, I guess on Wednesday. And I am always just sitting down and thinking like, what do I wish I would have known? I always think I'll run out of something, but so far it's April, I haven't. So I think I'll hopefully go through the whole year like, oh, I wish I've known this or something. So it's been fun to learn lessons over time.
It's a solid way to pay it forward.
Thank you.
According to some labor statistics, roles in UX are expected to grow over 10% between 2018 and 2028. And you mentioned that we're at the starting point. So why do you think that is?
Oh, that's really good. I'm happy it's happening that way. That's good. I'm glad. I think it's just that the world is moving online in a way that maybe we hadn't seen before. The current situation with COVID, the pandemic, and then it's just going to continue where we want to have good experiences online. We want things to be easy for us as customers and have situations where it's a streamlined process to order food or shop or have all these things that we just want to have easy for us with a click of a button. So I think that's only going to continue as long as the internet is a thing. A UX will be important because as far as just having customers become loyal to your brand, I think they have to have good experiences really quickly, because I've talked about this before, the importance of time to value. But if you don't have a good experience for them within the first few minutes or first few visits to your app or something, like you might lose them forever if they're confused about instructions or there's a technical difficulty or just a bad user flow or something. That could mean a big business loss and you've lost a potential customer. They have so many other options too. So I think it's just so important anymore to have a good user experience with these various digital experiences. And as the world continues to evolve online and people do day-to-day life online, those principles will only become more important. And I think the businesses that realize that will benefit from the growing importance of UX and just people living their lives online as we move into the future.
It seems like lockstep with what's happening.
Yeah.
And to that point, because I'm thinking about like, okay, so everyone's kind of like into this whole streamline thing, and if you want to keep things cohesive, are you seeing any trends based on that? Then is that just something you mentioned? You know what? Scrap that. You mentioned time to value. Is that like a reliable metric? Is that how you like show this is something that it took them 3 seconds to figure out what they needed here? Is that something that's like a quantifiable value for you? Is that a metric you measure?
Yeah, I think it depends on the situation. It's stuff we talked about with my team and the job I'm in. It's like trying to show customers the quickest time to pay off within our product. So with CallRail, we want people to have deep reporting insights, and we want to see them set up their numbers in the right way and then put those numbers places so they can start seeing their call log fill up with calls from customers or people who are seeing their marketing campaigns. So it's situations like that where you try to think about within your app as a content person or just a UX professional in general, like how can we create situations where we help our customers set up certain things so they see payoff really quickly and they don't leave us, So I think it depends on the project and the situation, but content plays a big role in this. As a UX content writer, it's just you want to help create clear, concise instructions. You want to play a part in guiding a user through a story in a way, a setup story. We've done that with our product. And so we had a first run onboarding flow where we had them set up certain things before entering our app for the first time after they signed up for a trial. So that's what I mean with time to value. You definitely just want to have certain key actions happen really quickly so they understand like, oh, this is why this product is really great and I don't want to leave it, or I want to enter my credit card now during the free trial. So I think things like that are super important. Yeah.
Well, we're at about 10 minutes, you want to open it up to the floor here, or would
Yeah,
anyone else like to ask questions from our panel?
yeah. Let's see if anybody else has questions.
I collected one earlier. It was more like kind of entry, like when you're breaking in. Do you remember what your interview process was like
Oh,
for getting? Did we answer this already? Because I did. My internet cut out at one point in the meeting.
yeah, yeah. Jeff got to that one.
Oh darn! I'll just have to
That's
rewatch
good.
it.
Yeah. It's like HBO, the replay, you know.
Right. Excuse me then.
Yeah, I think I guess you mentioned time to value, but is there any other way or any other like KPIs you measure just to see like, how do you measure the success basically of UX content writing, and like, is there any other metrics that you track?
Yeah, so I think some of it too, with my particular team, are responsible for support articles, maintaining and creating those. So we look at support tickets and what people are writing in about. And if they have some kind of comment like, I did this and I still didn't do the thing right or something, we know we need to change things that way. And if we don't have many of those complaints, then we're doing our job well. So that's something we keep track of in real time, is the type of issues we're getting related to support tickets, and if it's content related with whatever they're reading within the article. With my video work, I try to study engagement metrics with that, and so I try to hit like 70 to 75% of the video being viewed. And I have a great teammate, and we did some deep engagement study work where before, when I was creating these videos, it's just like, we need to get videos out there, just create a bunch of different ones where you don't really care how long they are. After a while, like, we should be a little more, intentional about how long we make these and study, what's being effective. So anyway, we're trying to hit around 90 seconds now for each tutorial video. And that was based off of just our engagement metric study and seeing how long most people watch videos, or just the peak amount of like getting to that 70 to 75% range, like how long people were staying on board to get to that point. So that was really interesting. So, and then Google Analytics too is something that we use quite a bit, just as a UX team as a whole, and engineering uses it too, just to study behavior on certain pages within our app. And I'm sure a lot of people out here like have used Google Analytics before, but you can see real-time results too within that. And you study bounce rates on a page, and that's stuff we look at too. So there are a lot of different things depending on the project that we'll look at, and tools we'll consider and things like that. But it's fun for me to do that too. I love using different tools and diving into different numbers. So yeah, I've enjoyed that aspect of the job.
I'll have more work for you coming down soon. Don't worry. No. So I don't know, maybe it's like TMI for the group here, but part of like us increasing engagement as a company as a whole, we're trying to try to create a video strategy for CallRail. And so
Nice.
we're looking at the different types of videos that we can create, and how-tos is definitely one of those that we're like
That's
looking
great.
into. So
Oh, that's awesome. Yeah, sign me up. I love that kind of stuff. So.
we can tap into Andrew.
Hey, and I have there's a interesting point that's come up here. A lot of the metrics, and we think of metrics or KPIs, we think of like, how does it relate to ROI? But it seems like a lot of the work that you're doing is for existing customers, or for people that are already in within the program or within the platform. And so it what is success then? Is it just, all right, check, you've been helped, or because you have to continuously help that person? So what does success look like?
Yeah, that's a great question. I think it's something that's always evolving within UX, in my particular area of UX too. And so I think definitely like customer retention is important. And that was something that we studied when I was a member of the growth team, like just different retention rates and activation rates too, trying to get people to sign up for a free trial and then enter their credit card during the free trial instead of just dropping off without entering their credit card, stuff like that. So that was really interesting to measure. And so, yeah, I think from my perspective, we're a B2B platform. And so it's a lot of it with my particular job. Like when I work within the app, is people have already entered their credit card for the most part, except for that growth team work I did. It was a different audience, but it's just trying to get those people to continue using really, and not drop off along the way based on a bad experience or confusing instructions or something. So that's we get weekly updates on we call it churn, stuff like that, how many people churned over the past week, and you can see graphs and things like that. So it's pretty easy to follow those company-wide metrics. And we even have a chart for support tickets, and we can see like the flow of support tickets week by week and stuff like that. So for my team that's kind of interesting to look at as well, to see if more people are writing in about support problems. So it's not always related to our work, but that's something we keep track of as well. So yeah, it's really fun to kind of dive into all that stuff.
You talk about B2B. I'm in B2B content as well, and one of the things I know when I'm writing the long form stuff, I write a lot. I write long form blog posts, white papers. I write a lot of words. But a lot of the things that I'm always thinking about is personas. Who's reading this? Who are the audience? And thinking about the psychology of that person. What are they thinking? What are their needs? What do they want? Which I think is kind of similar to what you're doing. And I think that's something that all content people are kind of doing. All the people who are writing the long form stuff, the people who are trying to make this transition that we're talking about tonight, are thinking about that psychology. How important do you think that aspect is of it, of kind of being able to understand who the audience is you're trying to write for, and understand, what are their needs and what are they thinking, and when they're looking at this button, when they're looking at this page, what is in their head, and how can I help them understand better what to do here, and how to navigate the site.
Yeah, no, that's everything for me. That's really great to bring that up, because when I help design something within a design file, I'm thinking about that customer who's just completely confused about our product or entering our product for the first time or something. It's like, and what I'm writing right now, like, does it help them? So I kind of have that person in mind, someone who's just like, I'm new to CallRail, I'm trying to figure this out, I need help accomplishing whatever this particular task is on the screen. So it's kind of a general audience in a way when I'm thinking about this, because we have different personas where we might have, agency customers, or, someone like an office receptionist or something. So it'd be different people, but we still want them to feel like they can accomplish whatever they're trying to do on a particular screen, depending on where they are in our app at the time. So that's great to bring up, though, because it's so important to keep those people in mind. And not only that, with like providing clarity on buttons or within instructional content, it's about not overwhelming them with text and an experience. In my world, that's something I think about a lot, where I think when I was in journalism, I'd sometimes overwrite or just, write words, adjectives or something, and just put in things. But within UX writing, it really is about, like, you don't want to create this cognitive load and this like overwhelming feeling for a user when they're on a screen. So I think about even like, can I keep this to 2 lines if it's step 3 right now, or something like that, or try to chop words and be intentional about each word and its place within the screen. So those are the kind of things I think about, and not only trying to help a user who might be new to the experience and things like that, but also providing kind of a pleasant viewing experience with the words on the screen. I don't want them to feel overwhelmed. So yeah, I keep those things in mind for sure.
You ever want to come back to the dark side and copy?
I didn't feel lost now at this point. I feel like I'd be, it's like when you move to Florida and have to go to Canada or somewhere cold. So, things like, no.
Oh, that's more than the weather that's different in Florida.
Yeah, that's true.
Hard to go from like, after like, so I've been doing a lot of email copy, and so like moving from email to now editing a long form piece and like having to write it, I'm like, oh, it's so much harder. Like, it's definitely practice,
Yeah.
Like, you don't realize it until you're like back at it. And I'm like, oh crap, I have to write pages, and I used to do this really quickly. So,
I know. Yeah, it's like different muscles, isn't it, within your mind? I find that too when I'm breaking outside of a microcopy or something within our UI, and I'm even writing like a a longer support article or something. It's interesting how your mind plays tricks on you for sure.
you're like, I gotta get to 500 words. Why is this so difficult now?
It's like when you're, you have quite a bit of dessert or Thanksgiving meal or something, you try to run afterwards, and it's just like, why is it so hard to run down the block now? I don't know. So yeah,
I don't do that, Andrew.
I don't either. That's in my ideal life that I don't live.
No, great analogy though. Yeah.
Well, one last check for questions. We're coming up on the hour here, so we want to give everyone a chance. And it doesn't, we have a big group here as well. We can ask each other questions as well. So feel free to put it in the chat. Otherwise, give the last few seconds here. Otherwise, we can turn it back over to Nadine to help close us out.
Yep. Well, I promise I have a lot of important things to say after this. You can hit me up after. But as I said in the chat group, I'm a content marketing manager at Colorado. I work with Andrew, and if you ever have any questions, not just content, but like anything else, and you want to reach out to any one of us, you can do so on LinkedIn. I'm open to taking a 30-minute coffee chat here and there, and just to walk through a couple of things. I would open my like little PowerPoint presentation. Delia, don't get mad at me, but I don't want to like deal with the craziness.
That's okay.
So I just want you guys to know we'll be sharing the recording via the Meetup and also on LinkedIn, and I think Andrew as well. And if you have any questions, like I said before, check out our content Meetup page, reach out to us on LinkedIn, and just stay up to date with all the events that we have going on.
Looking forward to seeing you all in future events.
Yes, in real life, preferably.
Bye to our international groups. See you guys.
Good seeing you.
Bye, everyone. Thank you, Andrew.
Thanks, Andrew.
Thank you. I had a blast. Thank you.